Hey, what's up, house groups? I hope you're enjoying some delicious food together for dinner church. This week, Mike, we kicked off this brand new series called Image of the Invisible. And we're going to be walking through the book of Colossians, which I'm really looking forward to over the coming weeks. But I loved how he kicked off this week, just kind of bringing us back to basics. He talked about grace and how it's kind of easy for us to fall into this misconception and misunderstanding of grace. Like, grace, it's this gift from God that allows us the ability to have relationship with him in spite of the times that we've ignored him and put a hand up to him and sinned against him. And while that's true, and we read about it over and over again in the Bible, that God, he's ruthlessly pursued relationship with us in spite of our rejection of him, we kind of have trouble accepting it. Like, God, he offers us grace and freedom, and I don't know if it's like our Midwest hospitality or more likely just the human condition, but we have trouble accepting God's grace. Like, oh no, I couldn't possibly accept that. Like, I don't deserve that. You hang on to that. Oh, okay, bye-bye now. You tell your folks I says hi. Like, there's just something about God's grace that feels too good to be true. Or it's true, but just for other people. Not me. Like, there's just something in me that doesn't deserve it. And we almost create like our own little obstacle course of holiness to see if like we actually deserve grace or not. But here's the thing. If we're doing that, we're missing out. Like, we're missing out on actually living the lives we were created for, but we're also missing because, like, let's just call it what it is. We're playing God. And we would never admit that, but we live and act as though we believe God must have it wrong. Like, he must not actually understand truth and justice. He's just up there loving people, created in his image on purpose and for a purpose, and trying to like extend grace in order to know them and lead them into freedom and the fullness that they were created for. Like, no, that's not right. God's got it wrong. There's got to be a bar. Like, I'll set the requirements. Here's what they are. You just sit tight, God. I'll come up with the rule book that'll help this all just make sense to me somehow. Like, he can't just go giving away grace. But here's the thing, he can, and he does. But let's circle back to the problem that we face on a regular basis. It's hard to fully accept it. Like, it's hard for us to understand, like, living in a performance-based society, that when God extends grace and says that you are forgiven and set free in spite of your flaws and failures, that it's actually true. And I feel like God, he's kind of been teaching me a lot about grace lately. I feel like my understanding of God's grace and love it's just been growing in this recent season. Like, as a dad, I feel like I'm getting this whole new picture of unconditional love that I really never understood before. Now, if you've talked to me about Elise and I's new baby Crew at all over the last month or month and a half, you've probably heard me say that it's been an exhausting stretch. Like, beyond the normal newborn tiredness and stuff like that, he's had a few extra things going on that's made it pretty difficult for him to fall asleep and stay asleep. And so it's just been a pretty tough season. Like, there's probably 2 or 3 weeks out of the last 6 where we can like collectively count our hours of sleep at night for the week on our hands. It's been tough. But like, through all of the stuff that we've been doing, and appointments and sleepless nights full of terror screams and crying, mostly from Crew, some us, but it's fine. In all of that, like, this realization and thought has entered my mind, and it's really helped me grow in my understanding of grace and God's love. And maybe the parents who are watching can understand this too, or maybe it's like more of a dad thing. I don't know, but it's just been so weird to me that this thing, like this new baby that not only doesn't really add much to my life, like, he can't even really see me yet, let alone interact or do much that adds significant value to my life other than just existing. So, like, not only does he not really add much, but he actually takes quite a bit away from us. Like, we have less freedom, less money, so much less sleep. We feel insane half of the time. So not only does he not really add significant value to my life, but he actually takes a lot of things away. And yet when I see him, my heart just explodes with love. Because he's mine. He's ours. And it like, truly, it makes no sense to me. And in a similar way, like, on such a like bigger, more unimaginable scale, God's heart explodes with love for you. Like, you, his creation, made in his image, sent his son to die and rise again to have a relationship with you. He loves you in a way you might not even be able to comprehend right now, in a way that you'll likely have to remind yourself of regularly by reading his word and praying and spending time with him and surrounding yourself with people who will remind you of this simple yet world-changing, uniquely Christian truth. God loves you so much. Like God, he doesn't love you if, or when you, or once you finally, or once you do this. He loves you. Does that mean he loves everything that you do? No. Like, does that mean you'll never have to experience some harsh grace in order to become more sanctified, like more like Jesus, in order to get just some of those things out of the way in order for you to be able to take steps closer to him? No, like our life is a process. We'll never have it perfectly figured out. But like a parent watching their kid learn how to walk, God's heart, it explodes with love when he sees us stand up and try running to him again after we fall. I'll kind of wrap things up tonight by repeating one of Mike's quotes from Sunday. He said this: "Your distance from God doesn't determine your importance to God." Like, how far you are from God has zero bearing on how important you are to him. Every day we crash into people who matter so infinitely much to God that he was willing to give everything to have them in his family. And that includes you. Like, don't let anybody, including yourself, tell you otherwise. Now, as we kick off and continue this new series, I think it is so important that we realize and kind of recalibrate our understanding of God's grace in our lives. Like both how we accept it and how we share it. Because I think if we can nail that down, like if we can tear down our self-made obstacle courses and get rid of the hoops that we tell ourselves that we need to jump through to earn it, we can truly begin to live more free. Like we're able to live into the fullness that we were created for instead of wonder if we're good enough or doing enough or accepted enough, because that's already decided. You are. And it's not because of anything that we can do on our own, but rather because of who he is and the grace that he gives.